So this is Johnny Rotten or John Lydon from the Sex Pistols or Pill, Public Image Limited, taken at Devonshire Gardens, a hotel in Glasgow. Um, he is an Arsenal fan, hence the scarf folded over. And a friend of mine was actually doing an interview at the time, and like all these situations, you never quite know what you're going to get. So he wasn't sure how much time he would have. As it turned out, it was about an hour and a half. I was sending him text messages saying, "Where are you?" And because he was anticipating only have 10, 15 minutes or so. Anyway, this was an idea I had, but as with all these situations, you always have to have at least one contingency on the side because you're never quite sure whether people will go for it or not. But John was completely up for doing this. He's actually standing on my camera box to get the height needed. I quite like the juxtaposition with him with his slightly anarchic dress sense and the rather austere looking gentleman in the oil painting behind looking on. It was a tricky shot to light, I remember, because whenever you try and light an old mirror or any mirror, you're prone to getting reflections and it picks up all the dust spots and imperfections. So some of that has been retouched out of the picture, but essentially this is, as is in terms of the actual shot. I don't tend to do a huge amount of retouching. Certainly not in the sort of skin or anything like that. In fact, John was one of these people when after we did this shot, we went into another room and I took some more pictures and it got wilder and wilder to the point that he started taking his clothes off and had a look at some of the pictures. I have to say these pictures are censored. They're not going to see the light of day. He wasn't completely naked, I hasten to add, but there was an amount of flesh on display. And he had a look and said, "Let's have a look at that." He says, "Oh, I look disgusting. That's great." Which is quite refreshing because most people are much more interested in looking younger, slimmer, whatever. They always want something changed, especially women, I have to say. But he wasn't bothered about this at all. So I did these pictures. There's one or two variations on it that were taken. And then we went into this other room and I took a few more pictures as well there. And I think we went to the gig. Was it that evening or the next evening? We went to the gig that they were doing. And interestingly, he did this advert for butter, which some of the punk rock purists took not offence at, but they thought he'd sold out to the capitalist market. But in actual fact, what he said was he did it because he needed money to go on tour because no record company or nobody would sponsor the tour that Pill were going on. So he took the money from the advertising that he did so that he could get the band back out on tour. And on a shoot after this in South Africa, I was working with a marketing person and he was actually the person that came up. He was always a Johnny Rotten fan and he was the one who came up with the idea of doing this Country Life butter advert because he always wanted to work with Johnny Rotten.